Hello and welcome back to Spirit Lounge again and to our continued journey into Japanese Shinto. I hope you guys are all doing well and enjoying the journey so far, and please leave me your feedback and comments on all of the series that the channel has had from the beginning, and let me know how it helps you, and please pass it to anyone else you think it would be helpful to as well. So let's get straight into this the next part of the Shinto, and we're going into the idea of Misogi, and we'll jump straight into that. So Shinto, as we've covered, is a long-lived, multi-centuries old, thousands of years old, I suppose religious, spiritual practice, born out of the integration of the peoples of Japan and nature. And it's morphed into many different facts of Shintoism in the past, with the element of Buddhism infiltrating and introducing shrines, to its removal of Buddhist influence back in the Restoration period, in the Edo period. And it has a central shrine called the Jinga, which can be used, main shrines owned by the government or other families, larger shrines we can visit, and also shrines at home. And it's based on the concept of kami, which are different levels of spirit. Spirit energy representing all things of nature, all levels of man matter and non-matter, and all forming from a single central source kami, which we can refer to as the divine source and one and all. Okay, so the idea of Misogi, what is this? So there are 4 types of purification. Misogi is the practice. The 4 types of purification in Shinto. It's a form of purification and has 4 aspects. And this Misogi is a form of purification, in other words. It has 4 aspects. Familiar terms is clean. The terms are clean, bright, right, and straight. Remember, straight being not curvy, not wandering around, has purpose and moving towards the right source. Clean, purity, bright, illuminating, right thought, and so forth. The term bright also has a connotation for happy, while straight conveys the idea of honesty. Together they form the most important principle of human life, out of which all else that is of value emerges. So clean and bright, which is happiness and honesty. Sameya means a clean and happy attitude of inner mind, that is without impurity, together with a bright, happy or clear mind. Shekoku means right action or behaviour, as well as the social aspect of being right, that is not committing any sin, crime or offence. So being right is not to commit sin, crime or offence. We all know what straight is. And behaving with honesty, openness, frankness towards others. To keep in oneself the quality of seme, clean and bright, one has to purify one's mind, purification with water, purification of body, the material used for rituals associated with cleansing, but similar to baptizing, the breaking of contact with unclean spirits, keeping one's thoughts clean. Misogi is the cornerstone of Shinto, i.e. we have to be clean. Remember the purity of the shrine, the purity around the shrine, the purity of the self, mind, body and soul is purity. Action of bathing in water, or Kokansho, where it is written, on March 3rd at the upper stream, on the east side of the river, I clean myself. We call it the bathing and the prayer festival for Shen, Chinese for Kami. So Gokansho on March 3rd wrote, that's what the bathing or Misogi means to him. From this we can tell the ancient Chinese worshipped their gods or Kami after being bathed themselves. Misogi, so the Chinese also had bathing rituals. Misogi was originally practiced in the ocean, since the Japanese are an ocean tribe who came to their island nation from across the seas. I believe that the original, or rather the author believes that the original Misogi was probably practiced at the ocean in great purification words. Oharai no kotoba, the purification words Misogi, Harahai no Kotoba, several ocean kami assume the role of kami, who exercise transgressions, offences, and cleanliness and uncleanliness. In other words, you do this practice of cleanliness in the oceans, preferably, or the rivers, because it then cleanses yourself, not of just physical cleanliness, but also mental and spiritual cleanliness. Removes any offences, which, well, not really, because those are karmic influences, and you have to those are removed through different practices that your soul can lead you to know. Misogi is in the ocean still forms part of a modern program of Shinto-based exercises. Amano shrine in Kishu, where people carry a portable shrine, which is called a mikoshi, to the ocean beach and pour seawater over it for ritual cleansing. In Kanagawa, where a portable shrine floats on the surface of the sea, some people still now assert that seawater has a greater purifying power, and we still have the custom of putting salt beside the place where we wash off water deposits. The best place for cleansing seems to be the spot where the river flows into the sea. Watatsumi relates to the ocean. Sokanaka and Ua means respectively bottom, middle, and top. Awareness of the ocean's existence at all levels, or hidden depths. River water is fresh and symbolises the demonine. The mouth where two meet is the symbol of intercourse between man and woman. It's all symbology. The two kami in Sanago and in Zanami share the intercourse of Mito, which resulted in many birth of many kami offspring. This is the rivers coming together. Mito is a combination of two words, mi, which is zu, and tu, which is mizutu, meaning water, and to meaning door. This symbolism says that the merging of the two waters, where fresh water meets the sea, is the appropriate place for misogi to be practiced. In other words, cleanliness, rebirth. Remember, baptism, cleanliness, to go to the waters, to be cleansed, to be renewed, to be received anew, is refreshed, to reclaim, to be renewed. Is the same principle. Water is a unifying force across many faiths in terms of ritual and practice. The conceptual level of misogi is not simply symptomatic of washing and cleansing the body. When the physical body is made clean by water, our heart and mind are purified at the same time. The act of washing our hands before worship, more than the magical cleansing of water, we change our attitude and our mindset. We wash away uncleanness. We purify our heart and mind so that we may connect with the spirit of kami, with a heart and mind that is clean, bright, right, and straight. The Misogi story of Izanagi no Mikoto in the Kijiki not only tells of cleaning the body, but also contains other significant hidden meanings. When Inasagi nailed his walking stick to the ground, this symbolizes the completion of a long journey. His walking stick symbolizes the journey of life until the finishing point. By nailing it into the ground, he marks a journey's conclusion. The removal of the sash symbolizing the sense of contented awareness at the end of the journey. He removed his mo, which is Japanese long pants, symbolizing the lifting of the world of illusion he had been living. When he removed the cloth from his upper body, represents the release from worries. He took off his fundoshi, which is loincloth, was freed from doubt and vacillation when encountering life's forked roads. He took off his crown. He threw away his tamaki, put into perspective his relation with people and his surroundings. After rinsing, kami causing great disasters were born. After rinsings, kami causing great disasters were born. Unclean kami and the emergence symbolizes the expulsion of dirt from the body through washing. So again, removing unclean spirit is through washing. When he cleansed his lower body at the bottom and middle and surface of the water, the following kami appeared. These kami are the spirit of kami with the power of cleansing, kigare, and cleanness. They are incarnations of the great purifying power of the universe. Through Misogi, Izanagi no Mikoto returned to his true self, completely refreshed. Tsukuyomi no Mikoto represents mental and psychological creativity. meaning gaining profound mental sensitivity and heart with a mind of peace, reverence and serenity. Represents spiritual craving and means. Realization of justice and fairness of heart and opening oneself to become spiritually clean, bright, right, and honest. Misogi has spiritual mystical meanings far beyond the simple meaning of bathing in the water. Purification with water can be found in many, such as Christianity, Hinduism, and others. Purifying materials, there is another means. Purifying materials, ancient style of Misogi Harai, purification and cleansing. With a cotton sash and held some plants called torimono to perform Misogi. These plants were sage plants, a hemp leaf. The body was stroked with torimono to let the plant absorb all kinds of sin, faults and uncleanliness. Or mononoke plants were then thrown into the river. Wishing for all my thoughts to perish, I clean myself by stroking with hemp leaf again and again and again. So when there's no access to a weighted water source such as a river or a lake or an ocean or a sea, they can use a hemp leaf or plants. The term mononoke is usually used in combination with the practice of the so-called masters of yin and yang. In the Heian period, the word meant spirit of death, mononoke, or a vengeful spirit. People with a strongly psychic ability can see mononoke. Kigari is a negative energy emitted from the dead, decaying bodies or negative vibrations. By wicked minds or evil spirits, we purify people or things by absorbing their negative energy. One can find a thick rope across the front of a shrine above the heads of the devotees. This is for attracting and attaching bad vibrations. Kigari, the rope, should be changed at any festival or special Shinto ceremony. We also experience string Kigari at funeral services. Strong Kigari at funeral services, which is lower energy. Cutting off contact with unclean spirits, it is important to be aware that the spirit world contains unclean or evil spirits as well as pure spirits of high status. One form of unclean spirit is the ancestral spirit, Inare, that follows people because of their familial connections. Other spirits, which individuals happen to attract to themselves. This type of spirit sometimes pretends to be a friend of a possessed person. We must find the reason for their possession. So again, it's admitting to possession. It's admitting to spiritual attachments. It's admitting to upper and lower spirits. This was in the Gnosis of Nagamadi, was talking about the archons and the eons. So remember, the same principles apply. They just adapt the frameworks of them and the concepts of them. The theosophy around them is different in different religions and faith. But what I'm trying to prove by doing all of this is proven by reading these texts that they all have a central source. There's a source figure, there's a divine father and a Godhead. There are many deities of astral levels of spiritual force, those of dark and those of light intent. There is the elevation of one's old, as it says, child spirit here, towards the main spirit, which is revelation, salvation, extension, expansion, and ascension. And this is all the same practices and principles. Yes, it's starting from the notion of nature, but it fast moves away from that, as you'll see in future videos on this we do next, as we go through the different levels of spirit and their names and their purposes. On the final slide, the services of a reliable Kanushi, a spiritual master, a practitioner of Shintoism, or spiritual teacher should be sought. Spirit must be convinced to depart by a process of right thinking. In other words, this is what's called cascading away of an evil spirit or a possession. In other words, a moral service may be held for that spirit, including a purifying ritual. It is important always to attempt to lead a clean and bright life, so we can prevent unnecessarily inviting the influence of malevolent spirits. We mentioned many times in other videos and other chapters and other doctrines, negative energy attaches when you're in a low vibration, particularly drug users, alcoholics, people in severe depression, long-term sadness. anything like that, illnesses, negative thought, bad behaviours, negative tendencies and practice and intentions, action, words and thoughts will attract energies, subtle dark spots on your auric field, which if you have enough attachments of those, can start influencing your energetic behaviour. And this is what's called possession. Influence, benevolence, if we indulge ourselves in even passions and lead a wicked life, we will also naturally attract low vibrating spirits that are in accord with our low vibration, as we've just discussed. Keeping our thinking clean and bright, to purify our thoughts in order to be affected by not to be affected by low vibrating spirits. Put our chaotic thoughts in order and learn the truth. Meditation, practice, silence and prayer will do this. This is the ultimate call of Misogi, to be clean, to remove uncleanness. Purifying the mind means purifying our words and thoughts and straightening our way of thinking. An aesthetic sensibility that is receptive to cleanness and brightness is also essential. To examine one's own heart and mind, one's feelings and motives, so easy for human minds to expand lazily and limitlessly, and in doing so, to lose stability. Keep our mind firmly at the centre of our body, that is the centre of our true self. The three levels of consciousness represents body, mind and spirit. And that's the final slide in that particular section. As I mentioned, see only grace before you. Practice it transformatively. Make sure it's part of you, because a revelation and salvation will always come from within to without. It's so powerful that sometimes we feel it's coming from externally, but it's not. It's coming from internally and expressing outwardly in such force that you think that the Father's driving itself into you. It feels both. And make sure it's within yourself, because the inner divine library, the bridal chamber, is within yourself. The gnosis and the book that opens, the pages turn, is gnosis, knowledge. Knowledge is expansion, knowledge, gnosis from within. Move the soul towards the spirit on the right. Become one. And again, the book All That We Are, wrote in 2019. It's at cost. There's no money profit made by me. It's sold at cost at Amazon. If you find it interesting, please go ahead. It's also a digital copy at I think $3.33. So it's very, very cheap. So if you guys fancy reading that, it gives us some foundational. It's a coverage of all my foundation gnosis in the early days, and it covers a spectrum of topics in a high level, and gives a foundation of meaning, which then my channel adapted and built in detail upon. Okay, so I just want to say thank you again for listening to this. I appreciate, apologies for this, but webcam back on there. Thank you again for listening to this. I much appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying the Shinto. Again, it's difficult to grasp because it's conceptual mostly. It doesn't have a formal religious structure. So getting your mind around it is a little difficult if you come from a formal religious background or understanding, or the study that you've done today is of this way. I think Taoism will also be the same in some respects, and we'll cover that another time. But I hope you're enjoying the journey. It does have a lot of lessons and a lot of synchronicities and synergies, which is what the purpose of it is for me. Thank you again for listening. I appreciate everything, all the time that you give, and I'll say God bless you all, and see you next time.